From the Gulf States Newsroom, this is the Gulf States Gumbo, your weekly serving of stories from Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. I'm sports and culture reporter Joseph King, chopping it up this week. All right, on today's show, as AI gets bigger and bigger, so are the data centers that powered it. And more of them are being built here in the Gulf South. Meta says it's building the largest data center in the world in a small town in Louisiana. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg says it'll have a footprint nearly the size of Manhattan. And the construction has brought on an onslaught of heavy traffic. Our public health reporter Drew Hawkins investigated this and found out that trucks working at the Meta facility are causing delays and dangerous roads for the people who live there. And he joins me now to talk about his investigation. Hey, Drew.
What's up, Joseph?
All right, so let's start off with a little bit of background. Why is Meta building this data center in Richland Parish?
So data centers are basically like giant warehouses full of servers, and they manage or organize data for AI. And the truth is, we don't really know how or why Meta chose Holly Ridge for Hyperion. That's the name of the data center facility that's being built. Holly Ridge is this small town of less than 2,000 people, and Governor Jeff Landry had everyone involved with getting this data center here sign non-disclosure agreements, NDAs. So we don't know everything that went on to make this happen, but we do know Meta received big tax breaks, and Entergy, one of the state's biggest power companies, is building 3 new gas plants just to power Meta's data center. When it's done, it'll use more power than the entire city of New Orleans on a peak summer day. And we know the reason Meta is building data centers like this is part of CEO Mark Zuckerberg's plan to build what he calls personal superintelligence with AI. And here he is talking about it in a video posted to Facebook, which is one of the social media sites owned by Meta.
I believe deeply in building personal superintelligence for everyone. And at Meta, we have the resources to build the massive infrastructure required and the ability to deliver new technology to billions of people.
He made that sound real good, or he tried to make that sound real good. Okay, so this isn't for like research or medical technology, though. This is just for people to have their own personal AI.
Right. I mean, there are a lot of different uses for AI. For example, there's one that can replicate DNA and genes, folding over and over to find new ways to fight diseases. And that limited, closed system can sometimes only use maybe a few microchips to function. But this sort of AI, the one Zuckerberg is trying to expand, is on a whole different sort of scale. I mean, you mentioned how it'll have a footprint nearly the size of Manhattan. This facility is just massive. You know, I've been out there a few times. Just driving alongside it in Holly Ridge, you can really get a sense of how big it is. It just goes on and on, this massive swath of cleared land with dirt and construction equipment.
Right. So it's still under construction. I know there's been some concern about how the facility will affect people's water and electricity bills, but if that happens, it'll be once it's built. You've been investigating the traffic and crashes happening now. What did you find out?
So construction started in December last year, and I looked at Louisiana Department of Transportation traffic data and found that thousands of dump trucks and 18-wheelers roll through this small town of Holly Ridge every single day. And then I got police crash reports from the Richland Parish Sheriff and Louisiana State Police. I looked at the roads that surround the data center site. So it's really this kind of targeted sample size. And what I found is that crashes are up 7 times on those roads. There have been at least 64 crashes between January and the middle of September this year. And that's compared to just 9 for all of last year. And all this traffic and these crashes, you know, they're disrupting daily life for the people who live there. Everything from grocery store runs to school. I mean, less than a mile away from the data center construction site is Holly Ridge Elementary School. And I talked to some of the kids that go there, like 4th grader Penelope Hull. And she says the truck noise on the busy roads outside of the school shake the classroom.
You can't pay attention and you get too, like, what is that? And you lose what the teacher was telling you to do.
That reminds me growing up here in Birmingham, and you know the airport is right there. So when planes flew over the school or flew over anywhere, you could kind of feel the plane shake the ground or shake the house or shake the building you're in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're going to hear that, like it's going to throw you off, right? I mean, I guess just imagine that if it's just miles of 18-wheelers and dump trucks right in front of the school all day long, honking, their engines running. I mean, yeah, it's going to be disruptive, right?
Right. I just don't know. How is that even safe for kids at the school?
Actually, it isn't. School officials, there's a playground in front of the school, and they shut that down this year because it's not safe. And, you know, the kids like Penelope Hull, they're really not happy about that.
That's why they're saying we shouldn't go out there and all that because there's too many wrecks and metal trucks and they could crash. I really love that playground.
There was actually one crash where two dump trucks collided near the school, and the driver who caused it, he had an expired Mexican driver's license, and he was injured so badly that he had to be airlifted from a field behind the school to a hospital on a school day. So they had a helicopter land in a field behind the school to
Jesus.
carry this injured driver to the hospital.
Okay. So there were some serious crashes, but are they all like that? When you say 7 times the amount of crashes, what exactly are we talking about? Like just some fender benders, some pileups? What did you find in those crash reports?
So they really run the gamut here. I mean, in some crashes, the truck drivers just couldn't see or hear the horns of smaller vehicles before they collided into them. There's at least 2 drivers fell asleep at the wheel. There's a hit and run where the dump truck left the scene. An 18-wheeler tried to beat an oncoming train across the railroad tracks before, at the last second, deciding against it and backing into another vehicle. They had a driver who left the scene, left his wrecked vehicle in the median so he wouldn't miss a morning meeting at Meta. I mean, this is in the police report. In August, there was a dump truck hauling dirt that drove off the road and crashed into a tree, killing the driver. And that's according to the Richland Parish Coroner's Office. In September, an 18-wheeler collided with a dump truck turning onto the road that leads to the Meta site. And in the police report, the driver told the deputy that he, quote, does not and has never had a driver's license.
Huh? Hold on. What the? No license?
Yeah, no license at all. Not just the CDL, which is that specialized license for dump trucks and 18-wheelers, no license. And I talked to Greg Fisher, who's with the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission, and a lot like you, Joseph, he said that was really shocking to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how that could even happen, but, you would think that a company would vet their drivers at least to the extent that they have a commercial driver's license before they put them out on the road. That really is kind of shocking to me.
That's crazy, bro. How does that even happen? I imagine people who live in that area aren't happy about all this, right? What did people you talked to in Holly Ridge have to say about this?
Yeah, they are not happy. And the police reports really back up what I heard from people who live around the Meta data center site. People who live on those roads talked about dangerous, reckless truck drivers, like Robin Williams here. She actually lives across the street from the site, and she says her street used to be quiet.
I've almost gotten a wreck leaving out of my road, down by the schoolhouse. They think they run the roads.
And her husband, Joe, says they're scared to leave their own driveway.
When you get in that car and get ready to leave, you better pray that you can make it to your destination.
And just down the road from them, Tatiana Thompson says that about a month ago, a new 45-mile-an-hour speed limit sign was put up in front of her house.
It looks like that sign's at a bit of an angle there.
Oh, it is. They run over a lot of signs.
So they ran over that speed limit sign.
I don't know where they done their driver's license.
So they hit the speed limit sign put up to slow the trucks down.
Exactly. And Thompson says Meta's trucks have even parked in her yard, workers just parking their vehicles and leaving them in her yard.
So they just don't give a damn. Did you ask Meta about this? What did they say?
I did. I reached out to Meta and I asked them about the traffic and specific crashes with dates and locations, the things that I pulled out of the police reports. And a spokesperson wrote me a statement and said that Meta sets strict guidelines for contractors about speed and safety, but they did not respond to specific questions about crashes that I asked about.
Of course they didn't. Okay, what about the state of Louisiana? What did they say?
Right, so I also contacted the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, and I asked them about the traffic and safety and crashes, and they told me that Meta has not violated any of its permits. But I also got the records of those permits and agreements, and they require minimizing impacts and keeping people safe. And these crashes seem to indicate that that's not happening. I did also reach out to Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry's office and the Richland Parish Sheriff's Office, but neither of them responded to questions for this story. But I know that they've heard complaints from residents because in June, Governor Jeff Landry visited Holly Ridge, and here he is actually speaking to local TV station KNOE, and he acknowledged the traffic concerns and promised control measures, but he added this.
Because guess what? That project is transformational for this area, but like with all good things, it comes with good problems.
Okay, So what did they do? What control measures are they working on?
So after Governor Landry's visit, DOTD did put up a few all-way stops. Those are those four-way intersection stops with stop signs. They put those up along the highway that trucks use to get to the Meta site. But many of the crashes that I talked about earlier, they actually happened after Landry's visit and DOTD adding those all-way stops, including the helicopter landing at the school and that unlicensed 18-wheeler driver.
Okay, so who's at fault?
That's a really good question. It was one that I was really trying to find out. Everybody seems to kind of want to put the blame on somebody else. Oh, it's DOTD. Oh, that's a law enforcement. Oh, that's the contractors who work for Meta. So what I did is I talked to a traffic expert to try to find out a little bit more. And Brian Walshin studies highway safety at Louisiana State University. And the way he put it is these crashes are really the fault of the drivers, but also the company that hires them, Meta.
Just because you come rolling in your Meta and you're this trillion-dollar company and you roll into, West Yahoo, Louisiana, I think it's incumbent of them to be a good steward of the public trust.
He's right. So what happens next?
So construction is supposed to last for another 5 years, and there will be different phases, like different equipment and materials will be brought up, sometimes more trucks, sometimes less. But Meta recently announced that the project is going to be even bigger than it originally was. It was supposed to be $10 billion, and now it's jumped to $27 billion. And there are talks about the site turning into what they're calling a supercluster with additional buildings. And that means more construction and more trucks. And the people in Holly Ridge who live near this site, they say they're not being told about what's going on. They don't know when roads are closed or when there will be more truck traffic. And what they really want is safer roads. They want the trucks working on the Meta site to obey the law and face consequences when they break it.
And this isn't the only data center being built in the Gulf South, right? Just this week, there was one approved in Bessemer, Alabama, and our colleague Stephen Basaha reported that there are a couple coming to Mississippi, too. When I hear this, I can't help but think these are all places that are considered poorer communities. What is it about the Gulf South that's drawing more data centers?
No, I mean, you're right. These data centers are popping up all over the place. And there's going to be different reasons for each one of them. Every company, every data center is serving a sort of a different purpose, right? And there are also reasons that we just can't know. Like I talked about earlier with Meta in Louisiana, all those NDAs signed. We may never know how or why Richland Parish was chosen for the site. And there are also a lot of resources here. Data centers need a lot of water to keep these servers cool, and they also need a lot of power to run them. And in places like Louisiana, they're actually building entire new gas plants just to power the Meta data centers. So the state's making it really attractive for these big companies. But these data centers also often promise jobs and economic prosperity. I mean, just like you mentioned, Joseph, it's not a secret that the Gulf South is a place that's really under-resourced and underinvested with lots of poverty. So that can seem like an attractive thing to a community, right? I mean, the problem is, will these things actually create more jobs in those communities? Like with Meta, for example, all those construction jobs, the company says it'll employ up to 5,000 workers at the peak of construction. Many of those truck drivers are from out of state or out of country. And the 500 permanent jobs Meta says the facility will create, will they be people from Richland Parish working on these high-tech data servers? That's something we just won't know until it's actually built.
Well, that was our public health reporter, Drew Hawkins. Drew, thanks for breaking this down and breaking down your investigation.
I appreciate it, Joseph. Thanks for having me.
Also, Drew made a social media video that explains all of this, and we partnered with More Perfect Union on this. You can check it out at our Instagram, Gulf States Newsroom. And now it's time for Gulf States Gems, a series that shines a light on some of the treasures of the region. Like last week, we're highlighting organizations in our region who serve food insecure residents. Regardless of what's going on with SNAP, lots of people can use our support. Joining me is our community engagement producer, Nellie Beckett. What's up, Nellie?
Hey, Joseph, how's it going?
So, who or what is your gem for this week?
So this week we're highlighting the St. Luke Food Pantry in Tupelo, Mississippi. This resource serves food insecure people in Lee County on Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., and clients are eligible to pick up food once per month.
We appreciate it, Nellie. You can see more Gulf States Gems from across the region on our Instagram. We'd love to hear about organizations doing work to fight hunger and food insecurity in Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Send us your suggestion. Email connect@gulfstatesnewsroom.org. This week's show is cooked up by the Gulf States Newsroom team. Our theme music is by DJ Supreme. Special thanks to our partner stations, WBHM, Mississippi Public Broadcasting, WWNO, and WRKF. You can find us in your podcast feeds every Friday. Look us up and be sure to subscribe. Again, I'm your host, Joseph King. Thanks for listening, and please don't forget to stir your root.